Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. I hope everyone's having or had a great weekend. This is Matt with Honor Your Health. I wanted to come on today and talk about detaching. And some of you might be like, what are you talking about? So, have you ever had anyone say to you, like, oh, you're so introverted, or oh, you're so extroverted, or um, anything along those lines where it's like they're trying to label you or put you in a box or something like that, right? Someone recently said, oh, you become so introverted. And my rebuttal to that was actually, no, what I've become is just more thoughtful on who I spend my time with and what I choose to, where I choose to put my energy and who I choose to put that energy into. And recently I have discovered that I have been very outward and like needing outward validation. And um, it's probably been a good 20 years of needing that external validation to like approve myself or like getting external validation to, or like external my external environment to validate my worth, so to speak, right? And um, recently I was talking to a friend who gave me a lot of guidance in the way of uh, I basically I don't care about myself enough. Like I don't give any of my like any of the love that I give out. I don't like give any of myself that love. And it hit me really hard. And I thought to myself, I wonder why. And I think a lot of it comes from childhood. I think a lot of us don't realize, I think most of us don't realize just how much of our self-worth comes from like our past, and what we have in the current time of our life, and going forward, if you don't acknowledge it and heal it, is that you have a lot of trauma in your past, and you will almost always continue to cultivate the same pattern and the same people in your life because you've not given you haven't really healed that in yourself, right? And I just find it very interesting because I think a lot of people, in terms of like the health world, everyone kind of puts this. They're because they might look good and they might look healthy or they might look a certain way, that's considered healthy. And but most often those people who have that, and I'm not saying everyone, but most people who are very externally put together, internally are hurting very deeply. And I was one of those people. I felt like, oh, I look great, I feel great, da da da. But on the inside, I was like internally in my heart, I was like, something just still seems off. And that off thing was that I was still waiting for someone to, I don't want to say complete me, but definitely for someone to, how do I want to phrase it? Someone to validate me, right? And then I started to realize over the past week, I started to just let that go, right? I started letting go and detaching myself from the outcome of needing someone's approval or someone's needing someone to tell me that I'm doing a good job or what have you. And I just started to like kind of love myself and give that back to myself. Like I don't need someone to verbally tell me anymore. And it's still a work in progress. I don't want to say anymore, but it's a work in progress that you need to heal. And I think a lot of us, especially like since the rise of social media, we've sort of gotten into this place of like needing that like or needing someone to comment or what have you. And I think I've detached myself from social media a long time ago in terms of like posting all the time and doing all that stuff. Like I don't really do Facebook, and I don't have Facebook, I don't have an Instagram, I don't have that stuff. And a lot of it was because I just didn't feel right. Like, when your energy just doesn't feel like it really meshes well with something. Could be a person, could be a business venture, what have you, right? And I think a lot of my own pain came from rejection, right? Like I think about going into like, because I was as in the world of acting and performance and arts and stuff like that, and because I was so familiar with rejection from a very early age, it became familiar down the road, right? I became very, I don't want to say addicted to it, but it just became familiar. So I would attach myself to people who rejected me. And that came in the sense of like friendships and, finding a partner and all that stuff. And it was just like, I had to start looking at myself and going, why does this keep happening? Right? Like, we don't think that it's us. And in reality, it is us, right? It's me. I am my own, I'm getting in my own way. And I didn't really know why. And then I started to realize that I was attracting that energy because I wasn't loving me, right? I wasn't okay with me. I was still waiting for that external validation from family, the external validation from a client or what have you, as opposed to just being very comfortable with who I am, where I'm at, and giving myself that power back, right? I don't think that we realize that when we're actively always searching for someone to validate us, we are attaching ourselves to an outcome that we won't get, or that we won't always get like the way we want, right? And that comes in many forms. And I've been listening and reading to a lot of just like spiritual growth things that have been saying like, and it's it rings very true for me. That when you attach yourself, you become this like needy person. You become this. It's almost like because you're attached to it, you're never going to get it. But the moment that you detach from it, you suddenly start to see like, oh my gosh, wow, like I don't need, like, it's detaching yourself from the outcome as opposed to just living in who you are, being confident in what you have to bring to the table. And I think a lot of us kind of give up our power on a daily basis because we are waiting for someone to be in agreement with us as opposed to being in agreement with ourselves. Like, just be you, right? And going forward in practice, I'm actually delving into like the emotional side of things and helping to release emotions in the body, because I think it's a very missed subject. I think it's a very missed, I personally think that that's why so many people are holding on to weight and holding on to lots of just disease, is because we are so afraid to feel those emotions, afraid to feel and I think it just comes from all the stuff that we're just being consumed by. We're so afraid to feel. We've become kind of numb to like everything. We need a reward for everything, right? And we've become so conditioned to not feel emotion. We've become so conditioned to not feel somebody that hurt us. Like, we kind of just like move on. We're like, oh, I don't care. That doesn't matter to me. But like in reality, it did. So just acknowledge that you were betrayed, or that you were rejected, or that you were hurt, because I think it's fair to acknowledge hurt and pain, because when you acknowledge it and you just accept it, you can move on. But when you're like, no, I'm not mad, or I'm not whatever, you're lying, right? Like, you're lying to yourself. And so I just, the whole reason I said the word detach is because I think it's time that we start to detach from outcome, detach ourselves from what we think it's supposed to look like, and just be in a flow place of, this is where I'm at today, and this is where I want to go, but it's going to take me time to get there. Again, people think that healing is this very linear thing, and it's just not. Healing is such a layer process, right? Healing is a place of, okay, this is where I'm starting, and this is where I'm at now. This is where I'm at the next day, the next week, the next month, the next year, right? We've become very inflamed, very toxic, and not just toxic with chemicals and toxins. Like, we become very toxic with emotion, right? Like, because we don't know how to just accept emotion. We don't know how to just let go, because we want to be in control of everything. If you believe in God or the universe or what have you, whatever your source of faith is, I believe in God. And I feel like the moment that I acknowledge God, and the moment that I just say, like, I don't want to be in control of this, right? Just take it. Because whenever I try to control it, stress happens, anxiety happens, pain happens. All of these things happen because I am so attached to this outcome as opposed to just being free and surrendering my life to that. I'm going to have a little sip of fat burning coffee. Hold on. If you guys want, so this is a little tip for you. I really enjoy coffee. A lot of people don't realize that there is mold in a lot of coffee and mycotoxins in coffee. I do a mold-free coffee, and I put a scoop of butter, tablespoon of butter, tablespoon of coconut oil, and then a little bit of raw milk. And when I tell you guys, this like lights up my brain. I have focus for when I'm working or when I'm not working. I just have like this mental like light up, right? Very good fat in there. I blend it in a blender and it's absolutely delicious. So if you're trying to like switch things up a little bit, this is a good tip for you. Anyway, I'm gonna take a little sip. So my point in saying all this about detaching yourself is because even success, I feel like, and like growing a business and stuff like that, right? Or being in a relationship, I have noticed that when I just stop, I don't want to say stop caring because it's not about caring. I still care, right? But the moment I take myself out of wanting a certain person or a certain number, like certain amount of money or certain amount, and I know what I want to create and generate in my life, but I just put that into thought and I put that in, like, I believe that I'm going to have that, but I don't really put my energy into anymore into how it's going to happen. It's more so when, and it's more so believing it, right? But I don't attach myself to it because what happens if I make more? Does that mean, you know what I mean? Or what happens if I make less? If I make less, I've given the power to, oh, well, I failed. When no, you didn't fail. It's still something that your body is trying to connect with, right? So I guess my point in saying all this is I feel like we have become this culture of trying to force everything to happen and trying to, and it kind of goes along with my video last week of magnetism. Become a magnet of your own self by being you and being okay with who you are now, not who you are or where you want to be in 10, 15 years, but who you are now, right? I think a lot of us get stuck, me included, get stuck in this mentality that like, okay, I want to be here in 5 years, so that means I have to do that now. It's like, no, like you still have to heal, you still have to do the work, and we have become just so accustomed to things happening like this, and it just doesn't work like that. That takes time. It takes work of acknowledging your emotion, right? Like, why do I still feel rejected? Or why do I still feel abandoned? Or why do I feel scared right now? Or why do I feel anxious? It's like we don't really acknowledge that stuff because we're told to just push it down, or we're told to deal with it, or what have you, as opposed to like, okay, like, why do you feel the anxiety? Or why do you feel the rejection? Like, what about this is making you feel that way, right? It could come from your past, and it's just a past moment that you need to start going, oh yeah, like that makes a lot of sense, right? And so I guess my solution for you is start to be very conscious of your thoughts, and be very conscious of if you have an addiction or something like that to food or to alcohol or anything like that, start to look at like when you do it, or like when you have the thought of doing it, like, is it just a habit that you've had for 15 years? Is it you do it, you have that, you go to that place because it's you're stressed out. A lot of people do things because they're just stressed and they want to get rid of the stress, right? As opposed to saying, why am I stressed right now? Oh, it's because of work, or oh, it's because I'm trying to control something, right? Or oh, I want to feel better, right? And bring the conscious thought back to yourself and go, okay, I could do the addictive behavior, or I could acknowledge like I'm just stressed out because I'm trying to control the fact that I want to find an extra client, when I really, in reality, it's just I need to let go, right? I need to detach myself from the thought that I am like not worth it, or that I need something external to approve of whatever it is. So just start to think of like being conscious in your thought. Be conscious of how you're thinking, because it's so huge, and it's such a missed factor to health that like I still agree. I still very much believe in supplementation. I still very much believe that herbs and homeopathy and carbon technology can absolutely shift how you think and how you feel, because you're getting things out of your body. And as you get toxins out of your body, it's much easier to think better and be better, right? Um, but I think a lot of people go, oh, I can heal this on my own, or oh, I can heal this just with thought. Like, yeah, thought's a huge part of it. But the thing that I think people are just not getting is that all these things work together. And when you start detaching yourself from the outcome of it, or detaching yourself from um, the timeline of, oh, like for example, I was told from early age, if you're not in a relationship by the time you're 30, you failed. So for the past 4 years, I feel like, okay, I'm a bit of a failure because I'm still single, 34. So that means that I'm less than, or that means that, like, okay, I'm just obviously like being rejected, and that's fine. But in reality, it just comes down to like, no, I just like, that's not everyone's timeline, right? In reality, hi Michelle. In reality, it is you need to go deeper, right? Why have you been rejected? Have you felt that in the past? Has somebody rejected you from an early age, and therefore you feel like you attract all that rejection? Like, I know I did. Like, there were people in my life that for sure like were not emotionally available for me, and kind of I felt like a sense of abandonment because I felt that, I don't know, like they weren't emotionally available, so they couldn't give me that. So then I attracted that for like the rest of my life up until now of being abandoned. Now I'm realizing like I can love myself that way, and I can be that for me right now, because that's really what I need. And in doing that, and in caring for me and being honest with what I need, guys, it's almost like I feel like I've been going through a detox emotionally of, wow, like I can do this on my own, and become very self-sufficient in that, like owning up to my own pain, right? And therefore being able to be more compassionate and empathetic towards other people, because I'm dealing with myself and dealing with my own insecurity that I didn't even know that was there. So I think it's just very interesting to, when people look at me, they go, oh my gosh, she's like this beacon of health. And it's like, sure, but like it took me 15 years to get there, you guys. Like, it's not a quick fix. There is no such thing as a quick fix. I really believe that you are your own magic pill that you've been looking for. And when you start to acknowledge yourself as the person of healing, and the person, obviously you need guidance in other ways and other aspects, but when it comes to healing, like, your body can heal, but you need to have proper guidance to get it that way. And you need proper you need empathy, and you need someone who's compassionate and wants to, but also, because I truly believe that, like, yes, empathy, yes, compassion, but you also need someone to just be honest with you. And I don't think enough people are honest. I don't think enough people are calling it out, calling out the BS. And personally, like, I know that I'm really good at calling out people's B, because um, I was called out a lot of times, and it really helped me, because I think we're so used to being like coddled. Um, and like certain areas need to be coddled, but other areas really you just like kind of need a kick in the ass, right? And we've got to stop being so like sensitive to things, because sensitivity is great. I have a very sensitive side of me, but I'm also very like, okay, great. We've allowed you to sit in that space for a minute, and now let's go. Like, why are we still sabotaging, and why are we still doing that? And the more that you start to acknowledge that, you start to detach yourself from that negative emotion and heal, right? When I started to heal that emotion of abandonment and rejection that I've deeply felt for probably, gosh, over 15 years, probably 20 years, my body has like thanked me with rest. Like I've been resting for some days like 12 hours, others like 8 to 9, like, and that just goes to show you it's not just like a nutritional detox, it's an emotional detox that needs to happen. And loving you, right? Who you are, and detaching yourself from outcomes that should just come naturally when you just start to do you. So anyway, I hope that helped. I hope it proves to you that through my own journey that you can see that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. You just need to start doing some of that inner work and healing the body properly wherever you're at. And it doesn't mean that maybe you start an emotional detox. Maybe you start a detachment, detaching from outcome. Maybe you start nutritionally. I don't know what that looks like for you, but I'm just here to tell you that when you start to detach yourself from outcome and from success and from needing someone to complete you or validate you, you've given up your power. So take your power back and just enjoy who you are in this moment and in moments to come, as opposed to being that like needy, I want. How about instead of wanting, just be yourself, be where you're at, and be okay with where you're at. I've had to realize the same thing. And in doing that, I've found in just the past week, I've found a lot of like, wow, like, yeah, I just really need to be alone. Right now, like, I just really need alone time. I need me time. I need to focus on myself. And there's nothing wrong with that. And going against societal pressure, you need to just be honest with who you are and where you're at and say, if you're meant to be single right now, own it. I'm meant to be single and I'm cool with it. I really am. I'm cool with it. I'm going to start loving me, because I think we are so used to needing that external like approval that you lose yourself sometimes because you don't feel right. Like, have you ever started to be with a friend or be with somebody because they just validated you so much, and then over time, like, the validation sort of stopped, and then you were like, wait, I was so attached to that, but I gave up my power and I started putting my worth on that person, and now that person's not doing what I needed from them that they were giving me initially, and now I feel like crap. And it's because you started to put that put them on a pedestal, so to speak, right? Put yourself on the pedestal. Put yourself on the pedestal. You're great. You're amazing. Put yourself on the pedestal and watch your world change. Okay. Yes. Yeah, Michelle, it's true. We do need to love ourselves. And I hear what you're saying. Don't forget your friends, whether near or far, that true friends will love you no matter what. It is true. I've found more, and it's not to like deny that my family doesn't love me, but I've just found that my family dynamic is a lot of people are hurting and they don't want to admit it, or they don't want to acknowledge their pain, and that's okay, because that's not where they haven't gotten there yet, and that's fine. And I think that I don't know if you guys have felt this, but I think a lot of friendships are great. Friends are great. I would prefer quality over quantity. Friends that are going to be real with me. Friends that aren't just going to agree with me all the time. Friends that don't always need something from me, because when people just need from you, they're taking your energy. They're called energy vampires, energy suckers, and that is also just not helping you in any way, right? Because if you're always giving people that energy, you're never, like, you always feel depleted, like you're on empty. And I felt like that with a lot of friends in the past, where I was just giving everything because it was like the external, I could fix them or I could help them. So it felt validating for me without realizing that I was just giving all of my energy to people. So while I do agree with that to a degree, I also just challenge it a little bit, which is fine. Challenge it that, like, love you no matter what. I have probably 3 friends that love me no matter what, and everyone else, I feel like, and that's just a sign of like a true friend, right? Somebody who loves you where you're at and loves to see you grow. Because as I grow, I find myself getting more intentional with who I spend my time with, and those friends that can't see that, they almost always will like kind of fall off, because they don't love themselves, or they are not getting like they're not receiving that same like validation that you were giving them, right? Because a lot of people just want that external, they always need that external validation of almost being a little bit needy, or being a little bit like, if you're not giving me something, then we can no longer do this. And it's, or like be friends. And it's just hard. It's hard. Yeah. And you're not, so Michelle says, I've always been a people pleaser when it came to my so-called friends. Now I'm a loner and have very few friends nowadays. So like, yeah, I agree. I was a people pleaser myself. And it comes from, for me personally, I found that my people pleasing tendencies came from being rejected as a kid, right? And being rejected as I came out of the closet and just was different because I was a black sheep of my family, right? And so, but I don't want to say that you're a loner though. Like, I feel like maybe you're just being a little bit more intentional with who you spend your time with. Maybe you're a little bit more, I don't want to say a loner to me is, it's just a bit, I don't want to say negative. It's just a bit like victimizing to yourself. And maybe I'm just reading that the wrong way possibly. And if I am, I apologize. But I think you're just, to me, it sounds like you're just being more intentional. I think is actually a really great quality in yourself. Like you have found that you are, that you've been giving a lot of energy out. And when you give a lot of energy out to people like that, it makes you a little resentful because you're like, why am I always trying to please other people and no one's giving me back any of that energy? And sometimes you just need to heal yourself and heal your own heart and like let that wall down, right? Because it's okay to be, I don't like, okay, it's okay to be a loner, so to speak. But there's also nothing wrong with like, if you want to say loner, I'm a loner too, but like I'm more so just think to myself, it's just a little bit of a victim mentality because there's so much peace that I get from being alone and having my own time to go like and heal a lot of things that I kind of maybe cultivated in my own world because of past events that have happened to me, betrayal, a lot of abandonment, rejection, a lot of things that people just don't give credit to. Yeah, I think that's and it's a good place to be when you're just kind of alone. People are not alone enough because they're so afraid of what that means. They're afraid of being with themselves because suddenly that means that that you're a loser or you're, I don't know. I don't think a lot of people are comfortable with being alone. I wasn't. It was scary to me because I was like, am I never going to be loved? But in reality, I was like, I've never felt more myself in the past week because I've just let go of that external need, right? And I've just made myself the need, and I've made myself the magnet, so to speak, right? Which is awesome. So I don't know if that helps, Michelle, but I again, I don't want you to be in that like victim state because I don't think that I know that you're not a victim, and I know that you have so much potential. So just from what I've known of you, and you're a very supportive person. I mean, you're always talking and you're always active and you're always, so I think that that's amazing. And I think that the more you bring that to yourself and put yourself, people please yourself, right? And let yourself take some of that energy back. And I'm working on the same thing. So we can kind of be each other's accountability person there, because I think it's really important to help each other, right? We're all on this journey and we're all trying to be ourselves and to shed, so to speak, that old mindset and those old mentalities of how we have attached ourselves to like what people think of us and what people deem successful and deem profitable and deem loving and what have you. So just start to be you. So I hope that helped you guys. Stay really focused on just be you. Just focus on being yourself. Focus on not being yeah, so she says, no, not a victim. Good. Just would rather be by myself than to continue to be the giver and never the receiver. And yes, we will keep each other accountable. Yes, awesome. Yeah, receive, right? I think we're just so used to being givers, and I know as a healer and being in that healing space, it's very, I'm prone to giving, and that's fine. I'm okay with that, because I know I have that heart and I have that. Um, I'm okay with it. But I've noticed that I just need to receive my own love that I give to other people. And I think we can all kind of agree that we probably all have a little tendency to give than receive, because we're all a little scared to know what receiving love and receiving true empathy and compassion feels like, because we're not used to it. Right. So, but yeah, so hope that helps. And I will talk to you all this week. Have a great start to your week. And, just keep letting go. All right.